You ever want to do a shout out to someone on Instagram or create a web link in your video? You know, a call out or pop out? I don't know, this sort of thing. Hey and welcome to Making Social Media. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to make a reusable, easy to adapt pre-comp, which you can convert into a motion graphic template for use in Adobe Premiere Pro or Premiere Rush. You can then use it not only to share your social media tags, but if you're doing a collaboration or just wanting to make a shout out, then you can have one of these animate in. Of course, if it's another YouTube channel, you can link directly to them, but unless you have enough subscribers and watch time to be accepted into the YouTube Partner Program, you cannot add clickable links to your videos. If you're here just for the finished project files, that's totally cool. I've linked them in the description below. These pop-outs give you a cute, easy way to call out, share. Look, if you know what these things are actually called, let me know in the comments. Let's just get started. So here I am in After Effects. I've got a 1080p comp. Keep the comp short. I've set it to 10 seconds, which sounds really short, but ultimately this is static text. And what we need to do is make a call out for one social media network. I can then duplicate it and swap in others. So I'm going to start by selecting the rounded rectangle tool in the mask options and draw a rectangle. Don't worry about the sizes, we'll set these numerically. Although if you want to know more about changing corner radiuses on rounded rectangle masks, check out my solving video. Hit enter and rename the layer to Lozenge. Then turn it off for the moment. Now switch to the circle tool and draw a circle. Hold shift while drawing to force it to be a perfect circle. Rename this layer to Circle and expand it on the timeline. Highlight the stroke property and hit delete to get rid of it. Expand ellipse path and set the sizes to 250. The fills color is going to be the color of the network you're using. I'm going to make this one an Instagram call out, so I'll actually be using their rainbow logo. If I was making a Facebook one, then this becomes the Facebook blue, that sort of thing. So, where to get the logo? I found this website, Seek Logo, which provides Adobe Illustrator files, which is really useful because I intend to reproduce each logo, meaning I don't have to keep track of the original image files. It also means I can separate out each element. If you have Illustrator, then you can see each element in the Layers panel. I can then highlight these by holding Shift and then going to Edit, Copy, then switching to After Effects, making a solid, and pasting in the vector as a mask onto the solid, which makes life really simple. But I just said I didn't want to keep track of image files. Unfortunately, to get Instagram's rainbow background, I had no choice but to import the Illustrator file as a composition. So seeing as I have to, I at least get the icon and its background as separate layers. Add the background layer, underneath circle, and scale and position it to fit behind the circle. And set its track matte to alpha matte. Now we need to go to Layer, New, Null Object. Parent all the layers to it. And select each layer in turn, hit P to expose the position property and set the positions to 0. And then move the null over. Switch to the text tool and type Instagram. Set the font to your choice and make it about 80 points. I set mine to Arial and bold and left aligned. And rename your text layer to Text, which makes it easier to copy comps later. When you're done, expand circle on the timeline until you can see the ellipsis path size again. Now turn on the lozenge layer and expand it until you can see the rectangle path size. Hold Alt and click on the stopwatch, and in the expressions area type y equals. Then use the pick whip to link to the circle's size's height, and then add +10, semicolon, x equals, and then use the pick whip to link to the text layer, and add dot source rec at time dot width, semicolon, square brackets x, y. Not quite, but we can change this. While we're here, set roundness to 250. Technically this roundness needs to be 250 divided by 2 plus 5, but it can only ever be a maximum of half the rectangle's height, so we can set it to 250 and just forget about it. So the width isn't big enough. Back in the size expression, add 2 times y to the x equation. So its length is about right. And remember, the width is determined by the size of the text, so it will grow and shrink to match with a bit of a margin. But we need to position it correctly. We want its anchor point to be the center of the circle. Expand Rectangle Path's transform options and alt-click on the anchor stopwatch and type y equals 0, semicolon, radius equals, and use the pick whip to link to the rectangle path's height value. Divide by 2, semicolon. X equals -1 times, and use the pick whip to link to the rectangle path's width value. Divide by 2 plus radius semicolon, square brackets x, comma y. Cool. A bit convoluted, but it works. Now for a slightly easier bit. Which reminds me, hang on, I have a script here. Hello internet, if you like the content I am making, look directly at audience, smile, then please subscribe and hit that bell. You guys are awesome, I love seeing you at insert channel name here. In the Lozenge rectangle's stroke settings, set a nice dark grey. And in the fill settings, we want a slightly off-white colour. Now let's add some animation. Go to 1 second on the timeline and expand circle until we can set a keyframe for its size. Then go back to 0 and set the size to 0. Next, let's edit the Lozenge's size expression. Replace x equals with text width equals. And then on a new line just after, type if brackets time is less than 7, close brackets, open curly brackets, x equals linear, open brackets, time, comma, 1.2, comma 2, comma y, comma text width. New line, close curly brackets, else, open curlies, x equals linear brackets, time, comma 7, comma 7.5, comma text width, comma y. Close all the brackets, including the curlies. So what this expression is doing is saying that if the current time is less than 7 seconds, animate the value of x from 1.2 seconds to 2 seconds. Start at the y value and animate to the text width value. And if the time is after 7 seconds, animate the x value from the text width amount to the y amount between 7 and 7.5 seconds. So it's animation without any keyframes which the length of text controls. Sweet. Duplicate Lozenge and place it above the text layer and set the text track matte to alpha matte. And now to add the Instagram camera. Add it to the comp about 1 second in, scale it down and position it and parent it to circle. And now this is where I started having a bit of fun and made each logo appear in its own way. For Instagram, I added a new layer with a feathered circle to look like a flash. And then I added a few more, each only on screen for a couple of frames. So it looked like there were a bunch of photos being taken, and on the third flash I have the logo appear. For Twitter, I used a duplicate of the birdie and used masks to isolate the wing. Then set the anchor point to the wing's shoulder and made it 3D and had it flap. I then parented it to the bird and animated it into position, swapping it out on the landing point for a static logo. I ended up having a bit of fun here, coming up with all the different ways to animate the logos. It's so small and quick that you can get away with some really quick ideas. Just make sure you finish the first comp fully before duplicating it. Make sure everyone is parented to someone, and currently the animation is left aligned, but you might want the circle to start in the center. So expand the Null Layer Position property, alt-click and type y equals value square brackets 1. That's the value of the null's y position and means you can animate it as usual. Then add x equals thisComp.width divided by 2 plus, and use the pick whip to link to the Lozenge's anchor point's x value. square brackets x comma y. So that's half the comp's width, plus whatever the lozenge's anchor point is, keeping the circle in the center. I added a couple of expression control checkboxes to the null layer, which meant that I can choose if the animation is centered or left aligned. It meant that I need to make a couple of changes to the position expression and add one to the null's anchor point. You can see them here and they are listed in the description below. Now to make it reusable, just like in the last video about YouTube comments, go to Window, Essential Graphics. Find your comp in the drop down, give it a name, and drag in the source text value from the text layer. Name it tag, username, whatever. Click on Edit Properties and check the boxes so that you can change the formatting. So for another After Effects comp, simply drag your Instagram comp in, expand it on the timeline until you've expanded master properties, and right click and choose Edit. Ta-da! You can now add the same comp multiple times and have different values each time. And to save this for use in Premiere Pro, open Essential Graphics, click on Export Motion Graphics Template. Once saved when you're in Premiere Pro, and I assume Premiere Rush 2 as it's pretty similar, go to Window, Essential Graphics, search for your new template, and drag it straight onto the timeline. In Effects Controls, you can then edit the values as before. And that's it. These callouts are fun to make once you've done the first one. In the description below, you'll find links to a project file containing the completed callouts I made, and also to a project with a single, simple callout. I'd strongly recommend downloading just this one for reference, as it's more fun to make your own, and this way you're not stuck copying mine. You'll probably be way better than me anyway. Come back in the comments and shame me with your designs. Thanks very much for watching. Social Media November has one more episode planned, where I'll be recreating the look of text messages, but not just text, and it'll include emojis.